Hey, so I wanted to make a quick tutorial today about Niagara. A short warning, I guess, is that I've discovered that if you have GPU Niagara particles in your game and you try to build out the game for like Windows or whatever, it does not work. The game will crash when you start it, so I don't think Niagara is completely ready yet to be used in a release, but yeah, it is pretty cool, but I've had to switch to not using Niagara in this game. Alright, so go to FX and start with a Niagara emitter. So basically the emitters are like in Cascade, how it has all those columns next to each other for different parts of the particle system. An emitter is like one of those columns. So we're just going to start a new one, just make it blank. And then we'll go in here and set up something super basic. Niagara comes with a little built-in dot material if you just want a basic little dot particles, so we won't worry about that. And then we'll start with spawning some particles, give it a spawn rate. When you see stuff like this, you can usually just say fix issue. It's usually just about the order of things, and it will fix that automatically for you. So I can say like 50, whatever you want. So all these different sections usually have quite a variety of things that you can put in here. I've only kind of scratched the surface on these. So then we can add whatever sort of things we want it to do while it's running. So search, see, I thought that would be in particle update. Yes, add velocity. And there's different options like vortexes or shapes and stuff. I'm just going to do it plain. Fix it again. Whenever you have a variable in here, you can usually either hook it up to certain things, like the position in the world of your particle system, or the age of your particles, or the age of your system. This isn't one you can do with that. I guess that would be a float, not a vector, but you can also do it for a random one, so I can take this vector and turn it into a random vector. So these particles are just going to have a very random velocity. Okay, so in this initialized particle, we can set some of its beginning values. Say the lifetime, say we want that to be a little bit random. So random range float. Let's give it a life of 1 to 5. Size, let's do random again, 5 to 10, that looks cool. Now we can get fancy and do some weird things like scale, color, and then we can scale this by, let's see, I think you can do a curve. Yes, vector from curve. Oh wait, maybe I want a linear color RGB. And then I turn that into a curve. Color from curve. Ah, there we go. So basically you can just draw out what colors you want at what time. So I can have it pink here, add another point, make it blue, add another point, make it green. And then you can see it starts great in the center and fades out like that. So there are a lot of little, just a whole lot of options in here for how you want your particle system to behave. In the renderer, these settings are also quite useful. Because if you don't want your particles to always face the camera, for instance, you can make them, align to velocity or other things like that. So it's just a little bit different looking. So basically you can go in here and just kind of mess around, see what kind of extra parameters or things you want to use. Often if you've got something in mind, you can kind of search it by what you think the name might be, you know. Lots of variables in here can be changed to different types, so you can change a constant to a curve or things like that. So I could say make a curve and add some points to it. Set maybe 5 there, 5 there, and then -5 halfway through its life until the end. And then you can get a system that behaves like this. Did not work. So yeah, basically you can experiment with these settings a lot and kind of search around to look for the sort of things that you might want your system to do. Also, right here is where you get the settings for CPU and GPU particles. And in the rendering section, you can go here and do things for, say, meshes or ribbons or whatever you want. One thing that has a lot of really cool settings in here is collision. And so depending on whether you're doing CPU or GPU, it has different options. So with CPU collision, you can actually ray trace with all the particles to make sure they hit exactly where you'd expect them to. With GPU, you can make it hit against like mesh distance fields or other things like that. And then once you have the pieces you want, you can make a Niagara system. So I'm just going to make an empty one here. Open it up. And then add our new emitter. There it is, new Niagara emitter. And then that's basically all you want. If you want to get fancier and do things with them, like sending events to each other and stuff, you can do that in here. But right now, we'll just have the system. Oh yes, also in Niagara you need to compile these things sometimes, or even hit apply or it won't show up in the system. And then the systems you can drag out into the world, or spawn through a program if you need to. Then we can go and see this lovely particle system. And yeah, that's sort of the basics of how Niagara works.